Thank you all for being here this evening. We're very fortunate that all three candidates were able to come here this evening, which will be represented in District 8. We've pulled some names, and the first person will be Carol Ross, and she'll be talking an intro about herself and where she is today in Lafayette. And of course, we'll have the next speaker will be LizWebHebert, and then we have Mr. Judice. It'll be a 5-minute, and our clock keeper, timekeeper will be right here at my left, and hopefully we can keep that going. And we do encourage questions after the presentation. The intros are made. So, but we'd like for you all to please come up to the mic, because, you know, shooting from the hip is not the, we can't get it recorded or show actually what it's all about. So it's very good. And in addition to that, AOC will get this before Election Day probably on YouTube. That will be this coming Saturday. So we want to try to produce a reasonable. We've got Mr. Ed doing us a great job. He finished in the computer business at the Counsel High School, I believe, but we appreciate that very much. So, Ms. Carol, if you start us up, please.
So good evening, everyone. I think I used to see many of you here many years ago before I started teaching on Monday nights. I used to be able to come to these meetings, so it's kind of good to be back this evening. My name is Carol Ross. I'm candidate for City-Parish Council, District 8. And you might be wondering why. For a very good reason. I love this community. I've been involved actively in this community in virtually every phase, educational, civic, business, etc. Excuse me? Anyway, so I've been in the community for 45 years, and I have really appreciated the great work that many people have done to make this community great, and I think I've tried to contribute to that just a little bit. I'm pleased to have so many friends and supporters here, including my wonderful husband, Ron Gomez. Thank you, Ron, for being here. And yeah, as you know, Ron is a former state legislator and did many wonderful things for this community, of which I'm also very proud. So why am I running? Well, I see we're at a crossroads. We do have a need in this community. At this point in time, we have a very slight downturn in the oil business, nothing like what we had in the 80s. And I was around for that. And I was called to work on our strengths and our weaknesses, et cetera, in a program called Vision Lafayette. 450 volunteers called together by Mayor Douglas Strapps at the time, and we had lost 22% of our economy, almost eliminated overnight. We were in desperate straits back then. We studied this community in 7 different task forces, everything from transportation to arts and culture to oil and gas to health care. And many of the initiatives that came out of there, in particular, our cultural economy and our health care. And you see the benefits of that. We had all of the CEOs from the hospitals involved. We had so many people with the city involved, and we had 450 volunteers. And we made this community so much better, more diversified. You see the results of that today. Well, we have to do that same thing today. We have to continue to build on that, to build our health care. One of the things that I've made a priority in my campaign is getting a medical school in Lafayette because of all the benefits that would bring. I think that would be a major economic tool. I'm also talking much about public safety. Many people didn't think about that much, but the first 2 people I went to see after I decided to run were Chief Benoit and Chief Kraft. Why? Because nothing good happens in an unsafe, unstable community. We have to focus on public safety. It's really critical to the future well-being of our community. The other thing is infrastructure. We know what the needs are. It's not rocket science. We need to pay attention to our streets, our roads, our drainage. We have some subdivisions that were annexed into this city over 20 years ago, and they still have open drainage ditches and no sidewalks. We need to at least start the conversation with those neighborhoods to get those things fixed. And it's not that difficult to do, but we need communication. When you see projects pop up overnight, when no one in the neighborhood knew anything about it, we have to be careful about those kinds of things. Now, I was asked to sign a pledge, and I didn't sign that pledge for a very simple reason. The pledge's priorities were not those of District 8. If I'm elected, when I'm elected, I will be representing the people of District 8, and I will have to take their priorities to the table to understand the needs of District 8. There were some wonderful things in that pledge. Roundabouts within the city, left turn lanes, intersection improvements, improving the gateways. Those were all great ideas that benefit the entire community. But there were other things in District 8 that need to be paid attention to. And that's what I plan on doing, working with the fellow council members, working with the new administration. There will be a new city-parish president no matter what. So we'll all have to work together to move this community forward, and that's exactly what I plan to do. Now, there have been some allegations that perhaps, you know, I've been against a few things. Yeah, I have. But let me tell you what I'm for. I am for the people of this community working together and deciding what their priorities are together, bubbling up from the grassroots, not being told from on high what we should do, what we have to do, and etc. I think this is a community. We need to work together, collaboratively, to get things done. And that's what I intend to do. I think most of you know my record. I think most of you know my record of involvement over the past 45 years. And that's exactly why I'm here tonight. I want to take that involvement to the next level, to really have some impact on the future of our community, for our kids, for our grandkids, and for the generation today that's been paying the taxes over the years. We need to pay attention to them as well. So I'm Carol Ross. I'll be number 89 on the ballot. It's a long ballot, so please don't forget to go way down ballot and vote for me, number 89. And please check out my website, carolfordistrict8.com, carolfordistrict8.com. Thank you.
I assume I'm just going, or?
Well, you already up.
Yeah, no, so just a bit. You want me to do it? Want me to go ahead?
That's right.
All right. Well, good evening, everyone. Hi. Hey, we have a lot. People are hungry. They're not willing to talk until they get their food, and I don't blame you. Good evening. My name's LizWebHebert. I'm running for City-Parish Council in District 8, just like my opponents. I'm so happy to be here tonight. Thank you again for having me. I called and begged Carol to give me an opportunity to speak, so I appreciate you having me and my opponents. So nice to meet all of you. I see a lot of new, and I do see some familiar faces in the back with the Republican Women's Group. So glad to have you all. For those of you who don't know me, I'm born and raised in Lafayette. I went to Turlings Catholic for high school. Then I left Lafayette to go to Northwestern in Natchitoches, Louisiana, where I majored in hospitality management and tourism. And I swore I wasn't coming back. I said, there's nothing for me in Lafayette. I've got to move to a big city where big things are happening and I can get this amazing job because there's nothing in Lafayette. And then I ended up getting a job in Houston, Texas. And that was the same weekend that Katrina was coming. And he said, oh, just go get ready for Katrina, then come back and we'll sign the paperwork. Katrina happened, and they relocated someone from New Orleans to take over that hotel. So as fate would have it, I said, okay, I'm going back home. This is what God's plan is for me. And I'm so grateful for that. I'm so grateful for that because I got a job at Zia's Rotisserie and Grill, where I was their catering coordinator, where I was in charge of starting up their catering department and planning the events on and off site. I was there for 2.5 years. Then I switched on over to the Cajun Dome, where they approached me for the convention center sales position. I've been there for 9 years. I love my job. I'm one of those people that I love going to work every single day. And I've recently found out that once I win the campaign, I do have to resign from my position. So I had a choice. Liz, you know, are you going to keep running, or are you going to withdraw from the race? And my heart just told me this is something that has been a dream of mine. My husband and I, when we got engaged, we decided, are we staying in Lafayette? Are we going to make Lafayette our forever home, or are we leaving? And we came to the conclusion that we want Lafayette to be our forever home. We love it here. Our families are here. My mom's here. My cousin Harley just moved here from Toledo, Ohio, because she fell in love with Lafayette as well. And so we said, we can't leave. We love it. And so I want to work to make Lafayette a better place. I wanted to make a place where your kids, your grandchildren, they may leave to go to a university, or they may stay here, but they want to be here. Not just because you're here, but because they have amazing job opportunities and that they love the culture that they live in. There's great things to do in Lafayette. Lafayette has so much potential, and we're great. We are a great city to live in. We're constantly on #1 list. Best food, best people, best music, best culture, best this, best that. But I don't have to tell you what makes Lafayette such a great place to live. You already know this. You want to know why I've elected to continue to make this a great place to live. Why am I running for council? The answer is simple, is I want to make a difference in my community. We could sit here and tell you that we have the magic wand that's going to make Lafayette traffic-free, tax-free, and trouble-free, but none of us have that magic wand. I do have experience. I have experience in working with people. I'm a unifier, I'm a doer, and I'm a people pleaser. I want to make the people of District 8 happy and enjoy the culture that they live in. I want to make sure that the council are doing the right things to continue to make Lafayette a great place to live. I've always had a goal of running for City-Parish Council. I originally thought actually that I would wait for another 4 years to run, but coming this election, a lot of my mentors, my family, my friends came to me and said, Liz, now's the time. We've got a brand new city-parish president, a new governor, a lot of new council members. They said, now's the time. Now's the time to start the change that's going to work to continue to make Lafayette better. I spoke with my mentors, my family, my husband, and we all agreed the same thing. Now is my time. We need a fresh new vision on the council. We need someone to come in and give a new fresh perspective and ask questions, rather than, this is the way it's always been, this is the way we've always done things, so we're going to continue to do it. That doesn't mean that it's right. We need someone to come in, shake things up a bit, and ask why. Why are we doing it this way? I'm young enough to be energetic and to have enough experience for the job, but not too old to not be invested for Lafayette's future and know the decisions I make on this council will affect me and my family in the next few years to come, in the next few generations. It's good to have strong principles, but a good decision maker and a leader will work well with others and review their goals from time to time and see what's working and what isn't. It's important when sitting on a board to work well with everyone. As I mentioned earlier, I'm a unifier. When I said, my personality is if I'm doing anything, I'm doing it 100%. If I'm sitting on a board, I'm the president. And I have proven when I've sat on boards and run these organizations, not just nonprofit but civic, we've had the best financial year yet on every board I've sat on. As I mentioned, I'm a unifier. I work well with others. I bring people together. A good example, Justin Santini's here. He's a school board member in District 6. Majority of you are in District 6. I think we can all remember last year, the school boards. Thank you. The school board last year wasn't unified. They weren't working together, so nothing got done. This year, the school board is working well. We're getting new schools, and schools are improving. I want to see that for our next council. Once I'm elected, I want us to bring us together, so it's not a north side versus south side. It's not a black versus white. It's us working together to make all of Lafayette a better place to live. As I mentioned, my name is LizWebHebert, and I'm running for City-Parish Council District 8. I hope to have your support this Saturday, if you early vote, to our October 24th day of election. I look forward to hearing your questions. Thank you.
I don't apologize for not being quick enough to get up here. Thank you very much.
That's okay. That's okay.
And the next speaker, we have Mr. Gerald Judice and from Judice in, and we're happy to have him. Have any hamburgers next?
Did bring you in.
Thank
Got good food here at Lacey's as well.
Hello. I want to thank the Concerned Citizens Group for having us here tonight. I'm a lifelong resident of Lafayette. I'm Gerald Judice. I'm a lifelong resident of Lafayette. I'm married to the former Linda Thibodeau. She's a school teacher at Cathedral Carmel Elementary School, and I have 3 children. My son Zachary, married to Lauren Barrio. They also have a daughter, my granddaughter, just turned 2 this September. My daughters Charlene and Abby. Abby's here this evening with me. I come from a large family that was born and raised in this area. My father was one of 17 children who almost all settled around this area. I'm the last of 8 children that all live here in Lafayette. We have deep roots in this community, and this community has done so much for me and my family and my business that I felt like I wanted to do something in return. My father's family taught us the value of hard work and earning the respect of those around you. And I try to teach my children and my employees that on a daily basis. I graduated from Fatima High School when it was a high school. All 3 of my children graduated from UL. I graduated from USL, before it was UL, of course. I've run our small family business for over 30 years, Judice, as Mr. Carroll mentioned. I also have a small business in Opelousas, a little theater, the St. Andrew Cinema. So I've dealt with every aspect of these businesses, from budgeting to day-to-day operations to hands-on problem solving. I have to be ready and able to make decisions. I have the experience in dealing with the general public on a daily basis, and this will be an asset when working on parish projects that need the public support. I'm seeking the District 8 Council seat as well as my 2 opponents. I think we all care about this community and this area very much, and that's why we're running. I don't think there's really political ambitions in any one of these seats. It's just 3 people that really care but have 3 different ways of implementing that care. As the other 2 candidates mentioned, the biggest question I get when I'm knocking door to door is, why are you running? Well, what I just mentioned, a large family that lives all around this area. I have a lot invested in this community, and I want to do something to make sure this community proceeds as well as it has been in the past. And it's also for the same reason I've served on charitable boards and social boards and my church parish council. I was on the Holy Cross Church Parish Council for roughly 11 years. I headed their building committee when we did the expansions at Holy Cross. And I've worked with the public all of my life. So I feel like I have an in touch with the public and the pulse of the public as far as the wants and needs of the parish. I hear so much across that little counter back there. My place only holds about 60 people, but it seems like we have thousands that come through daily. I don't want to be one of those people that just complains about issues and problems. I want to be available to work on them and work with the council as well as the new administration to solve some of these problems, or at least enhance the city in some of the areas that we're having trouble with. You know, when our restaurant was built, it was considered far outside the city limits. Now it's central Lafayette. The rapid growth of this area has been both a blessing and brought many opportunities to the city, but it's also a cause for some of the problems that we have, the traffic, the infrastructure troubles. Traffic is a big issue, but it is also a sign of a thriving economy and a growing community. Same thing with some of the infrastructure problems and the management of the current residential and business areas that we need to work on, as well as all the new areas, new residences. And Lafayette is growing into a new type of residential area now with multi-use structures going up in different areas of the town, a lot in District 8 as well as the downtown area. Drainage is a constant issue and always will be a constant issue. It's something that we'll have to work on a regular basis. We must prioritize our spending and prioritize our needs so that we are ready and able to address the things that are coming up in the community. There's always a shortage of funds in government because there are so many needs and so many different areas that need improvement. Okay, our District 8 encompasses a unique group of people, neighborhoods, and businesses. It has some of the oldest and most established neighborhoods and businesses in this city, as well as some of the newest and most modern businesses and neighborhoods in this area. I want to work and bring all these folks together, work with the council and the new administration to keep Lafayette prospering as it has done in the past, and to help the community that's helped me and my family for so long. Thank you very much.
First questions that we're going to have is from our president, Mr. Frank Flynn.
My question is going to be addressed to all 3, and we'll take one at a time answering. If you had to identify one of your life experiences, what one life experience do you believe uniquely qualifies you to serve as parish council member from District 8? Carol, can we start with you?
I think it would be really difficult to identify one life experience because, of course, we're all a collection of life experiences. I would have to say that being born into a big Italian family, with my grandparents living with us, 6 siblings, there were 7 kids, 2 parents, 2 grandparents, 1.5 bathrooms. So we had to work together very well. But I think that probably trained me to understand other people, to really get into the democratic process, because you'll be happy to know my parents were all Democrats. And my dad was a union member, and we learned how we had to live on a budget, and we learned how to communicate with each other. We were a very diverse family. We still are, have all different opinions. We love each other deeply. We love our sibling that we just lost, our mom, who was such a deep influence on us. And I would have to say Dora and Al, my parents, were the overriding influence in my life. So I would have to say a collection of experiences. But the other thing was discovering Lafayette, Louisiana. When I came down here, I was just a teenager. I had nothing. I knew no one. I just loved the French language. Je peux parler français. Peut-être je suis le seul candidat qui peut parler français ici, ce soir. So anyway, I was a French major for all those years. And I studied in Quebec, Canada, and I discovered Louisiana when I saw a picture of Huey Long breaking out of the Senate office building in that white suit, and then I heard my parents and my uncles singing jambalaya, and the fantasy with Louisiana grew from there. Yeah.
Thank you. LizWebHebert, your turn.
Well, Carol, you stole my answer. I also came from a large family. I'm the baby. I have 4 older brothers. My mom, as I mentioned, is here, my father. And they all gave me a different perspective. All my brothers are so different. My brother, Ted, is mentally disabled. He lives in a home in Alexandria. He taught me patience. He taught me unconditional love. And he taught me to never meet a stranger. My brother, John, is an attorney in South Florida. He taught me very strong will and to always enjoy life. My brother Kevin, who is an electrician in Little Rock, Arkansas, he taught me to love life, live it to the fullest. My oldest brother Bill, he's the only one that's given my parents grandbabies, I'm sorry. But he has triplets, and he's an incredible father to those triplets. They're 10 years old. My mother, who is an incredible woman, she's strong-willed. She taught me to be an incredible wife, an incredible friend, and an incredible person in general. My father's an entrepreneur. He owns a oil field directional survey company. Survived the 80s, and he's surviving now. 74 years old, still working. He's taught me what it is to be a great man, to be full of honor, and to be respected as a businessman. And he taught me to never settle for less than I deserve, which gives me an incredible husband. So I feel working with all those different types of personalities has taught me that very thing. Has taught me how to work with very different people and to eventually get what I want. Thank you.
Thank you. Gerald Judice.
Big family.
Well, my answer was my introduction. Basically, I come from a huge family. They all live around here, as well as my profession. I've worked with and served the public my entire life since I was about 7 or 8 years old. I can point to some folks that can verify that. But just, being in this community and serving the public all my life in that area, interacting with the public all of my life, I feel that gave me the qualities I'll need to go out and work for the public for the next 4 years and maybe past that. Thank you.
My next question will ask to start with Liz. What role will you play if elected City Council member District 8 in expanding the LUS fiber network to the unincorporated area of Lafayette Parish, to the other municipalities in Lafayette Parish, or areas beyond the artificial parish boundaries of Lafayette Parish?
I'm a supporter of LUS. I think just hearing from working with our economic development here in Lafayette, a lot of businesses, a lot of large companies, a lot of technology companies have come here because we're so famous for our fiber. I'm definitely a supporter. I will do what I can to help bring it out further into the community. I think once again, it's going to take time. We need to put that, put the infrastructure in the ground to be able to support it. And I'll do whatever I can. If the people in my district want it, I'm happy to do what I can to help. Thanks.
Thank you. Gerald?
Well, in its short-lived career, LUS Fiber is already a profitable institution right here in Lafayette. I think it should grow at its own rate, at a slow rate, to make sure that we don't extend our infrastructure and stuff. And just the return on investment of LUS Fiber seems to be doing very well, and why not share it with the rest of the parish and maybe even beyond the parish in the future? This will be a slow process, but I think we should definitely try to expand it as long as it remains profitable and returns to the city what, you know, I'm sorry, I'm not a public speaker. It has a good return on investment for the business that it's doing.
Thank you. Carol?
Well, I've supported fiber to the home from the very beginning, but probably, maybe, for a different reason than the others. And the numbers really are all over the place, but I've seen numbers that say it's moving in the right direction. It's not where we want it to be, but it's moving in the right direction. That a lot had to do with the rollout when they were challenged in court. But from my standpoint, I'm a marketer, I'm an advertiser. I'm in advertising. I put together proposals for people. We listen to their problems. We find out how to market to them. One of the problems Lafayette always had was, as my husband often said, was our only problem is that we're in Louisiana, and quite often we have to labor under that shadow of being in Louisiana. So what was going to catapult us out from under that shadow? I saw fiber to the home as that very thing to do. And I think I was right, because, I mean, we've been on several trips, and when I mentioned to the techie people, you know, that maybe on a cruise or a trip with us, well, you have fiber to the curb. No, it's fiber to the home. And their eyebrows go up, and from there, you know that it really was a good marketing decision, and it has resulted in so many of these young tech firms coming into Lafayette. So for that reason, I would continue to support it. It's been great for that, for really catapulting Lafayette. Now, will I extend it? I'd have to be very careful about that. I would use it as an incentive to bring more people into the city, to have a more robust annexation program, which I think we need to have.
Gerald, we're going to start off the next round with you. Although no one has a crystal ball, what financial role do you believe, as Lafayette City-Parish Council member, you would play in funding the outlay of capital improvements and financing operations for the horse farm over the next 10 years? Gerald?
Well, I mean, the horse farm has a general plan. I'm not 100% familiar with the entire plan. We saw it. I think it pretty much entails the same thing that I was talking about LUS Fiber. You'd have to look at the cost of what they need to do and the return on investment we would get on that cost. From a finance standpoint, we need to know what it's going to cost to do the projects that we need to do to get the horse farm up to snuff, and then in addition to that, what can the horse farm return to the city? Obviously a beautiful park and a beautiful area for the city, but will it have any financial advantages for the city? My business is right across the street from the horse farm. I'm sure it's going to help me, you know, in many ways in that area. So there will be some sales tax revenues, I'm sure, that the horse farm will produce, and what other events and things that it will produce to see how it will help the city and somewhat fund itself.
Carol?
Well, many of you may not know this, but many years ago we were meeting at the top of Regions Bank, which overlooks the horse farm, and trying to decide how were we going to get this project off the ground. Because as you remember, there was talk of the university turning it into commercial property, and you know, nobody wanted that to happen. So we all worked very collaboratively at that time to identify that this would be our central park, that this would be a real gem for Lafayette to have. As I wrote to the paper at that time, what would we lament in 20 years from now? The fact that we didn't have more retail on Johnston Street, or the fact that we didn't have more green space for our community to enjoy? I think we have the answer there. Now, it is a public It's not really a public-private partnership. The public funding did come in where the city and the university collaborated to make that exchange of property so that we could have the actual property. The promise of the folks who are involved in that now is that it would now be done with private funds. And I hope we can continue with that, because although I think it is a wonderful benefit for the entire community, I do think we should try to keep our promises to the community that it would be funded with private funds. I think it is an important asset to us, but I think we have to be careful about the expenditure of funds. We have pressure on our Parks and Recreation Department right now, really terrible pressures because of consolidation. We have competition from the two parks in Broussard and Youngsville. So I'd like to see a long-term picture, an overall picture for the entire parish before we try to expend any more money. And let that vote go to the people if the people decide they want to do that.
Liz?
You know, it's funny we bring up the horse farm. Is actually 10 years ago today was the day that a classroom at UL, group of students got together who, with a professor and talked about what is going to be our passion project for this year. And someone mentioned the horse farm, and that would it be eventually a parking lot of businesses, or would it be a green space? And that group of college students fought to make it the horse farm that it is today. And that was actually 10 years ago today, actually, was the dear friend of mine, E.B. Brooks, is the person who spearheaded that. As of right now, it is meant to be a strictly private funds only. Their goal is to raise $30 million to make this park happen. But it's not going to be, they're not going to spend the $30 million completely on building this park. It's $15 million to build it, and then $15 million to maintain it for the next 20 years. I think that is genius. They are thinking forward, right? They're forward thinking right now. They're not just thinking we need to spend $30 million on this park. We need to spend $15 million to build it, then $15 million to maintain it. Now that's a beautiful thing. Thank you.
We're going to start on the next question with you, Carol. Many years ago, the Lafayette Chamber of Commerce, under the leadership of Chairperson Jeannie Kramer, endorsed the Lafayette City-Parish Charter, even knowing its existing shortcomings. What priority for Lafayette City-Parish Charter changes or revisions, if any, will you champion if elected, and why?
Well, several people have proposed having another charter commission. The original charter commission, which Ed Abel and Jeannie Kramer and some others served on, I think including your father-in-law, put together the charter, but unfortunately it never really worked out the way they thought it would, and there have been some serious structural imbalances. So another charter commission was put together, and another proposal was brought to the people, and that was voted down. So my proposal is to do what's actually coming up on the November ballot in a very, very modest way. I think what we have to do is the council members, the new council members, the new administration need to get together and work on some amendments that correct the structural imbalances, including the balance of power between the administration and the legislature, that being the City-Parish Council. Also, the differences in the funding mechanisms that we have right now. We don't really have a consolidated government. We haven't consolidated law enforcement, have we? We haven't blended the funding. There's so many, our police department, our fire department, everything is still separate. So we really have a fiction, an overlay, a hybrid, and it's really not working well. So I think we need to get together and work on some of the structural imbalances that we have in that charter document. But I don't think we need another charter commission, because I think that's going to take a long, long time.
Absolutely. I pretty much agree with Carol. Carol made some great points. I agree, we brought it to the public twice to decide if we needed to redo the charter, and they voted it down twice. I think we need to listen to the public and what they had to say. I think that there's certainly some amendments that we can do to the charter, and I think that needs to come from the new council that comes up, as we need to work together to decide exactly what we as a council together want to amend in the charter. Thank you.
Carol?
Well, I think it's unanimous that we all believe that it needs amending. like I said, the voters of the parish as well as the city all voted to keep the consolidated government together, not only 20 years ago, but 2 years ago. What's not fair is that you have little cities inside the parish that have their own mayors, their own city councils, and they have their own budgets. But Lafayette is forced to allow all those other voters outside of the city of Lafayette to dictate how Lafayette spends its own or uses its own funds, its own money. And there's some, that's just not right. I don't think the charter needs to be scrapped or anything, but we do need to amend it. We need to look at how, especially District 8 is a large portion of all city residents. We have a few in unincorporated areas as well as part of Milton, but for the most part, the city of Lafayette, the residents of the city of Lafayette need to have their own voice on how their money is spent as well as the rest of the parish.
Liz, we're going to start off with you on this last question. What are your two top priorities upon assuming office as council member District Number 8 that you believe can be accomplished within the first year or year and a half?
Everything. Not everything. Oh, you were supposed to laugh. Thank you. Thanks, Mom. Sure, that gets the laughs. But what do I think I will accomplish in the first year? I think one thing that's easy to accomplish is my number one goal is to be accessible and approachable to the people in my district. A big issue I'm hearing while I'm walking door to door, which I have covered 94% of my district walking door to door. I've touched it. So, thank you. Thank you. But, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud because it's not about me. It's about our district and what we want as District 8. So I want to be accessible and approachable. I want people to know what district they live in. I want them to know that LizWebHebert is their councilwoman, that they can call me, they can email me, they can Facebook me, and they can get a hold of me, and I can help solve any problems that they have, or at least work to help solve any problem you have. Town hall meetings, or sending out a monthly newsletter informing you what's going on in our community. Keeping the communication going, because I think that's the biggest issue we have. Like I mentioned earlier, none of us have a magic wand, but the one thing I can control is the access you have to me as a councilwoman. So thank you.
Gerald?
I'm not sure exactly what can be accomplished in the very first year, but one thing that can be accomplished is the parish council working together for the betterment of the Lafayette City as well as the parish. Lafayette City is the hub of the parish, and District 8 is the main corridor of that parish. So I think the biggest thing that we can do is to begin working together instead of having all these little struggles from district to district. If all 9 councilmen can start working together, no matter where we do improvements in this parish, it's going to help the entire city as well as the entire parish. But we need to work together, prioritize what our methods are going to be, and start moving forward.
Okay, I'm used to multitasking in my business. I have 3 first things that I'm going to do. Number 1, and all at the same time, as my husband has seen me do this, and he wonders, how does this happen? Okay, number 1, I would like to have a forensic audit done, not because I think anything wrong has been done, but because I think we have this great community, we can build on these assets, but we need to know exactly what they are and how to capitalize on them. And a forensic audit, really well done by an objective outside source, will give us that information, and then we can move forward from there. But there are 2 things that I think we should do immediately, and as I said, I'm a multitasker. I would get them both started. First of all, working with Treasurer Kennedy and our legislative delegation to get that medical school here in Lafayette, which I think is really critical for us. We have a lot of underserved populations here. With those doctors, when they come to study here, they stay here. They buy homes, cars, etc. They really invest in the community. Number 2 is getting 733 fast-tracked, working again with Treasurer Kennedy and that Unclaimed Properties Fund to fast-track the widening. Here we have Cully's Saloon being widened to 5 lanes, and again, it's going to empty into a 2-lane street. We got to get ahead of this development curve, and it's moving out there. It's really, if you've seen the number of developments going up, you know we have got to get ahead of that development curve. So I really want to work with the legislative delegation and Treasurer Kennedy to get that fast-tracked. 733. Thank you.
We're certainly open for questions, and we appreciate anybody who'd like to come up here and ask a question. Mr. Larry?
I want to thank you three for coming tonight. I really do. I'm a little bit scared. District 8, and there's 3 people running for it. What, are we giving away free crawfish or something with it? You mentioned you used City Park. Horse Farm's never going to be City Park. We don't want a New York City Park. $30 million for a horse farm? Have mercy. We've got better things to do with $30 million. Spend it on all that. Thank you.
Well, he's going to be gone.
That's all.
No, he will be gone. Mr. Durrell is term limited, and by the way, this audit is no reflection on anyone. Let me answer your questions, because I think there is a misconception about the horse farm. The original money was a pool of sources, of public sources, yes. And I think that there is a certain role for government to play in that kind of thing. The improvements are to be done with private funds, and that's where it's going to be incumbent on the council to keep an eye on those funds. And I take that very seriously. I take the taxpayers' money very seriously. I have looked at some of the deals that have been done, and they have not been, in my opinion, kosher. We had a plan that we spent over $1 million on, and we violated it the first thing out of the box with one of the major developments that was done, giving away public dollars when we were not supposed to do that. We were not supposed to stress the infrastructure even more and give away public dollars to do it. So you can have all the plans in the world, but if you don't have oversight by someone who is objective and keeping an eye on these things, and that's where I want to come in on this council, to keep an eye on the taxpayers' dollars, we owe them at least that much.
Liz, what's your take on
I don't
this?
know what we're doing here. I don't know. All great points. I think I'm going to touch, since Carol touched on that, I'm going to touch on the Mr. Green contacting all of us, which you did. He contacted me through Facebook, and he asked me the same question he asked the council. And I told him, because as I mentioned earlier about accessibility and approachability, anyone who has called me, I've given out my phone number, which is on the push card that you have there. You have my own email, my phone number, my Facebook, my website. There are multiple ways to get a hold of me. See me in public, I'm always wearing my campaign shirt. I'm at the Cajun Dome, one of the biggest buildings in the city. Come see me. I answer to anyone because I'm a public servant. I'm not going to be hidden. I'm not going to, like I mentioned, things such as town hall meetings once a month, monthly newsletters to keep you updated on road projects, budget, things like that.
Let me ask you don't think Mr. Green meant not you? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, and that's the point he made. He didn't mean us,
okay.
But he did reach out to me personally. I don't know about my opponents, and I did answer him. So, but to your point is that we as a council are public servants, and we're meant to serve you, and you shouldn't have a hard time any of you should not have a hard time getting a hold of us, and my goal is to be accessible to you. Thank you.
That's okay. We have another question, young lady. Would you please come up?
I have 2 questions, just short questions requiring a short answer. The first one is, how many years have each of you lived in District 8?
Okay. Answering that.
Let me think. 25 at least, maybe more.
29?
3. Newlywed, moved in with my husband right after we got married.
Okay. How many city council meetings have you attended before you declared that you were running for office?
Not enough, obviously. No, not, on occasion I would, when I felt that there was an issue that was really important to the community at large. Of course, we all watch them.
Yeah. But before you ran for office, you attended city council meetings or spoke at them?
On occasion, yes, of course.
I've never spoken at a parish council meeting, but I've attended 3 or 4 before I decided to run. It was
And I have
part
to
of
say-
why I decided to run.
Most often when it was major tax issues that came up that I thought would impact the people and that I thought really needed to have an alternate viewpoint, those are the ones usually that I went to.
I've probably attended 10 to 15, but I watch them on AOC and follow them live tweet if I'm not in front of a computer on Twitter. They live tweet them as it's going. They do the same thing with the school board meeting. If any of you don't have access to TV, you're on the road, you're traveling, you're busy at work, something, you're allowed to follow that. So I do any of those.
Okay, my last question is, when the elections got underway, there was a form sent out confidential to people's emails that were running for office. Everyone that was running for any office was sent this email marked confidential. It wasn't supposed to be let out to the public. No one was supposed to know about it except the people running. And along with the 10-page email, it was sent by one Acadiana, which used to be the Chamber of Commerce. And these people that were sent the email and were running for office were asked to sign a pledge to one Acadiana. Not the people of the district they were running in, but to one Acadiana. And I think it's been mentioned that some of the ideas were okay, some of them everybody agreed with, but the whole idea of sending something confidential that the public, even some of the people in the chamber did not know about it, because I've asked them personally, they were asked to sign a pledge to the chamber, not the public. I would like to know, of the 3 of you, who signed that pledge?
I answered their questions. 2 of them I agreed with, and 1 I said that there was needed more information, and I wasn't sure about that.
But did you sign the pledge?
I signed a pledge saying that I would be interested in looking at, deeper into these things, but I did not say that I would definitely support the 3 items.
Okay. Yeah.
We did receive several questionnaires from different organizations, not to sign a pledge, but questionnaires to fill out.
I did not. First of all, I felt it was highly improper and premature. I was not even a declared candidate at the time. I was not qualified. I had not qualified for this office. I was a declared candidate. So I looked over all of the issues, and frankly, there were 3 or 4 of them that would not be relevant to District 8 in any way, shape, or form. And to ask me as a representative of District 8 to overthrow my potential constituents, my future constituents, in terms of what some planners decided were important. One of those I will mention was urban core revitalization. Believe me, I've walked maybe 98% of the district, and we're starting to rewalk parts that we've already walked before. And I can tell you, urban core revitalization was not on anybody's radar. Years ago, my husband actually put in the legislation creating the downtown development district because we needed to do something with our downtown. You could shoot a cannonball down the middle of Jefferson Street, not hit anything, business or people. So we knew we had to do something with that core. We have given them a source of funding that we walked door to door and the people actually voted on. And so we believe we've done that, a good deal of that urban core revitalization. But to ask potentially elected officials, there were groups that used to ask my husband to do this years ago. We felt it was wrong then, we feel it's wrong now. We're going to represent the people, not just one special interest group.
Liz, you got the answer.
I do. I did sign it, and I'll tell you a little bit about it. I feel like there's a few misconceptions about One Acadiana's pledge, is that they want to hold us as politicians accountable, right? What do we want? We want to hold the people we elect to office accountable for their actions, so that when I knock on your door, I don't say, I'm going to fight for you, I'm going to be accessible and approachable, I'm going to fix traffic, and then disappear, right? You want to be able to say, Liz, you signed this and you said you were going to find creative traffic solutions which affects our district. Yes, we're going to improve our corridors into the city, which is huge. It doesn't affect us necessarily in District 8, but it affects us as a community for tourism. I work in the tourism industry, and when people come in, when I pick up promoters, when I pick up my clients, whether it's from the airport, pick them up at the airport in New Orleans, we're driving in off of I-10. It's ugly. That is their first impression of Lafayette. It's ugly. And I have to eventually wow them with the incredible food. I've gotten burgers from Judice in. So that's another thing, improve our corridors. That's important for tourism, sales tax, and Lafayette. And the third thing was finding a solution for the comprehensive plan, and finding amendments for the comprehensive plan to better Lafayette. That's important to all of us, not just the people in District 8. So yes, I did sign the pledge because I want to be held accountable by the people of my district. It was confidential. It was originally confidential because it was only going to the board members. They just forgot to take off the word confidential afterwards. Slight error. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Gerald?
Yeah, I'm sure my opponents have as well. We received several questionnaires from several different groups. I didn't call them special interest groups because I felt it was just concerned citizens or voters that wanted our opinions on certain topics to see, where we stand in certain areas. To say that the business community is not part of our district or that that's a special interest group, some of us are the business community. I don't see us as a special interest. I think the interest of the businesses as in this district as well as the city are part of this community, and they have the right to ask us questions to see how we're going to handle problems or things in the future. And that's all I could consider that questionnaire, was another portion of a questionnaire. And like I said,
questionnaire, they asked you to sign it. You pledged.
I did not pledge to sign. I wrote that on my answer sheet that I was not pledging to do it.
You don't have to discuss it with the audience. That's one thing we did told.
No, thank you.
We have another question. CC Lorette. Do you have a question?
Not a question,
Do you have a statement?
a statement,
All right.
a project. The one thing I believe, and I want to thank the guests tonight because I have had the opportunity to see them before. I'm very proud of the people who are running. I'm not, but I think that this year, instead of voting for the lesser of the evils, we actually have an opportunity to vote for somebody who can help us move ahead. That's what I'm about. To help you do that, since I've had the opportunity to see all of the forms, to help you do that, since I believe in education, I have a list of the AOC times that the forums that have just finished up are going to be on the air, and I certainly hope that you will take the time to watch them. Thank you very much.
It's a good time to ask the question concerning this particular race. It's such an important one. We have we have a couple minutes left if you had one. If not, we'd like to start with the summation, and we want to start with Mr. Gerald. If you want, you got 2 minutes.
Again, I want to thank you all for having us this evening. I'm Gerald Judice. I come from a large family that lived and raised here in Lafayette. I believe in this community. I think we have a great city and a great parish. We just need to tweak it a little bit, and that's what I plan to do. Work with the other 8 councilmen and women, excuse me, to keep this this great city moving forward. I think the biggest thing we need to work on is working together as one city parish council like we're supposed to be, and address some of the issues with the charter that separate the city, the smaller cities around us and the parish as a whole. District 8 is a big portion of Lafayette. I think there's 3 to 4 districts that are majority city of Lafayette districts and small areas of the unincorporated areas as well as the smaller cities. We need to figure out how the city of Lafayette can get its voice heard as well as the whole parish working as a whole. Thank you very much for having us, and please consider me for
Next speaker, Ms. Elizabeth.
Once again, thank you all for coming tonight. Thank you, Concerned Citizens for Good Government, for having me this evening. Thank you all for coming. My opponents, it's been a great experience. I know working with you guys and attending the forums and hearing what you each have to say. And because you made a great point, you made an absolutely wonderful point, is that we are so blessed in this district that we do not have to vote for the lesser of the two evils, and that you get an opportunity to have any of us represent you. We're all lucky. We all win. Of course, you win best if I win, but you know. I encourage you all to go out and vote. We are so lucky to have the opportunity in the U.S. to be able to vote. Women, we have not always had the right to vote, and thank God we do. Early voting starts this Saturday. It goes from the 10th to the 17th, and actual election day is the 24th. My name is LizWebHebert, and I hope to have your support on Election Day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carol. Thanks to all of you for being here tonight. Thanks to those who are going to watch on AOC. We really appreciate it when you come out and you show an interest in this process. It's really, really important to the future of our community, our state, and our country. So I deeply appreciate you all being here this evening. Again, I can't emphasize enough that I think I bring a certain experience and energy and ability, a perspective on this community that will serve us well. You know what they say about reputation and character? Reputation is what's formed when everyone's looking. Character is what happens in the stillness behind closed doors when those issues are discussed at the City-Parish Council and they make those decisions behind closed doors. Who is going to be representing you? I want to be that person. I think I have a deep understanding of the needs of District 8 and the community, having been involved for so many years. I want to be there speaking on behalf of the people. When we say special interests, I'm a member of the business community, but I would never ask an elected representative to sign a pledge that had any sort of weight that was not materially affecting or positively affecting the people of their district. We are elected to serve the people of District 8, all of the people. And that's exactly what I plan on doing. I plan to do it with integrity, with honesty, with an open door, always with a willingness to listen to you, to your concerns. I have a website, I have a Facebook page. Yeah, we're into all that social media stuff. So it's the Facebook page is CarolRoss District 8. The website is carolfordistrict8.com. I hope you will check out. We have some videos on there that explain in even more depth my opinions and my proposals for the future. Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure to be with you all.
Before closing, I just want to mention that I'm aware that the only consolidated part of this parish, and they could continue doing it, going in that direction as opposed to buying this partial consolidation. You guys could work on department by department, because Parks and Recreation is truly the only part of this community that's consolidated. Matter of fact, we ended up hiring the guy that did the parish work for Parks and Recreation. He's running the House of Representatives right now.
Unfortunately, the only funding for Parks and Recreation comes from the city.
The majority, but we're a little short on that too. But yeah, I'm mentioning that just as a starting point, and maybe that you guys maybe have an influence on getting this done and doing it department by department, possibly a way to get it done. So anyhow, we appreciate you guys coming here, and a round of applause is more than just like to remind you, the City-Parish president, 2 people that are running will be here 2 weeks from tonight, the 19th. We appreciate everyone coming back. We'd love to have you on. Thank you all very much. The meeting stands adjourned.